Hello and welcome to Stories, the True and the Fictional, the indie author podcast supporting indie authors from all around the world. This episode is brought to you by Rebecca Castles of the Rising Dawn series. You too can become a sponsor by heading on over to buymeacoffee.com/STTATF or follow the link in the show notes. And now, let's get into the show. Warning. Listening to this episode may cause your TBRs to grow in size.
Hello guys and welcome to a brand new episode of Stories, the True and the Fictional, the indie author podcast supporting indie authors from all around the world. I am one of your hosts, J.A. Bryden. With me always is our resident reader, Ryan. How are you going, Triple R?
I'm living the dream, my friend, living the dream. Doing good. I finished 2 books this week, so I'm back on track. With my reading, I've finished Timothy Robert's Flame of Azul.
Almaraz. He knows what it is. He appreciates the review that you left for him.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that was really good hero's journey. Exactly what I was expecting from him because I read his other work. It was such a great story. And I read The Forgotten Ones, which is a short horror anthology, which our friend of the show, Don Campbell, is part of, with 4 other authors, and every single story in that was amazing. Absolutely loved it. It was a short read. I think it was only like 70 pages, but very, very, very good. I'm going to check out all the other authors on that book. It was really good. So yeah, that was good. Obviously, me and Jamie both saw Spider-Man last weekend. Spider-Man Brand New Day. It is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I reckon it's the best Tom Holland one that I've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It was great. I also saw The Odyssey, which again was another really good movie. So yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a good week. And then we just got off a lovely chat with Secret Stacy.
Yes, she's been on a few times. She's done a story pitch episode. She's done another multi-author one. I think it was on world building, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that's when I met her the first time. But yeah, this is her first solo appearance, all about her, which is good.
Yeah, it was a great chat. We'll dive into that soon, but first of all, we got to do the sponsor run. We got to go, hey, check out Rebecca Castles of the Rising Dawn series. You hear her name a lot. Her links are in the show notes. Check out our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. They got some great stuff out, but we're doing our Indie Book Awards at the end of the year. Again, the things are going to be different, so there's only going to be one honorary sponsor in 2027. Jeez, 2027. Where's the time gone? Yeah, we're figuring out some categories. We're figuring out some new, exciting ways to do these awards because there's a lot of good indie stuff out there. There's way too much good indie stuff out there, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got our horror month pretty much organized. We're just sorting out a few more guests, but October's going to be our spooky month. We're going to do. Ryan's just going to, be walking around going, yes! And his TBR is going to go, triple in size because of all the horror stuff we're going to be doing in October. So keep an eye out for that. Buy some merch if you want to support the show. We've got a crap load of merch. Links are down below. Pictures if you're watching YouTube. Our Dropbear, our monstrous Dropbear, is doing well. People love him. So...
And I forgot to mention there is a new horror movie called Dropbear, which came out.
I think I saw that.
Released on streaming a couple of weeks ago. I haven't watched it yet, but I have it on my to be watched. Yeah. And the Dropbear looks very, very scary. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Keep an eye out for that too, guys. If you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com if you want to come on the show. If you want a better chance of coming on the show, reach out and ask for our Discord link and we will get you in there because that's where we're doing most of our organising. Apart from that, look, I think I'm ready to go talk to Secret Stacy. Are you ready to talk to Secret Stacy, Ryan?
ready to talk to Secret Stacy.
Then let's go. Secret Stacy, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing so great. Thank you guys for having me.
It's I think this is your third time on, isn't it?
Yes, I haven't had a solo
Yes.
spot before, but I've been on the group shows a couple of times, and they've been a blast. So I'm really excited about this.
Well, now you're here, and we want to get to know you. So for those who may not know, who is Secret Stacy?
So I am Secret Stacy, and I write novels under the pen name SR Stacy. I am a wife and mom, live in the American dream in Central Arkansas. I enjoy chasing my kids all over the country, taking them to their sporting events so that I can watch them for 2 minutes if they do the thing right, and playing fetch in the yard with my toy fox terrier, Tay Diggs. And whenever I'm not doing those things, I like to write. My debut novel is called Bette Donovan and the Battle for Wyoming, and it was a 2025 Your Paper Quest feature and an honorable mention in Reader Views. It is a gritty, modernized Western about a refugee woman who becomes the reluctant protector of a small Wyoming town in a war between a corrupt group of U.S. Marshals and the local citizens. And it is a ton of fun. It is kind of like Tomb Raider meets Sherlock Holmes, Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes. It's a blast. I put out my second novel in May of this year. It's called Life in the Quiet. It is a departure from the action-adventure, gratuitously violent Western, and it is a contemporary romantic suspense story. It's romance, comedy, and suspense, just like life. It follows Sunny Carino. She is a widowed mom of 3, and she thinks she's got everything figured out. She's got a great job. She's got a great relationship with her kids. She has just met who she thinks could be the man of her dreams. And suddenly her teenagers get embroiled in what she thinks is a seemingly innocent neighborhood prank war that quickly devolves into a dangerous liability. The second book in that series, it's called The Facts of Life, that series. The second book is Life Out Loud, and that is going to be available for pre-order on August 20th, and it comes out on November 20th. It's called Life Out Loud.
Awesome. I feel like you've practiced that pitch.
I feel like I've been doing a lot of, not a lot. I've just started, I should say, doing some live events, and I realized that the most important thing is to get your 1-sentence pitch down. You have about 30 seconds to tell somebody what your story's about. So I've got my 1 sentence for each book pretty down pat.
Nice.
Well, with the first book, you forgot to mention one of the accolades, and that is it is the first Western that I have bought because I hate Westerns. I hate Westerns, but I love Guy Ritchie, and that's how you sold me on it when we were on the multiple author show. So I have not read it yet because I have 213 books on my TBR, but I have bought it. It is in my TBR, and I do plan on reading it. So that is probably the biggest.
I'm going to add that to the title page. And make myself a sticker for the title page. Yeah.
I am trying to break my bias on Westerns. So I thought I haven't read a bad indie book yet since we've started this podcast. So I think that's the way that's gonna start my transition into getting to like Westerns.
I hope so. It's more, it is. So I grew up in the 90s, and so it's really an homage to like the action adventure stories in the 90s. I was trying to write a really fun lady protagonist that is not like an annoying girl power lady protagonist, that is sort of a realistic as far as within the confines of, what is a woman is capable of, when they're fighting in a war. And so with that said, it's a lot of fun. It's more like a Django Unchained Western, than it is like a John Wayne Western.
There's no spaghetti, Ryan, in this.
There's probably lots of spaghetti.
I don't know what does that even. I've never understood the term spaghetti Western. What?
So I will explain it to you. Do you want me to tell you what it is? It's because it came because back in the day, the Italians were doing some low budget Western films, and they were like way more violent than what American film standards would allow for. And because we got spaghetti from there, we called them spaghetti Westerns.
Mm.
Right. Okay.
Fun fact.
There you go.
You learn it here, folks. Trivia.
Yes, yes. And so Bette Donovan is a spaghetti Western. It is gratuitously violent, much more so than what would have went on, back in the day when John Wayne was putting out all his stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I do like violence, so I'm definitely in for that. But yes,
Perfect.
I will, and once I do read it, if I like it, which I'm sure I will fully endorse it as the first Western publication that I have read.
So I will be waiting on bated breath for that day to come.
We'll throw a party.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going to jump into these icebreakers. I believe it's Ryan's turn to go first because we believe this is the best way to get to know you, and people get to know you and they go, hey, she's cool. Let's buy her books. Proven method, I think.
Exactly. And 9 times out of 10, it involves me buying the book, but I already have your book.
You've already bought this one. I have 2 other things. Maybe, yeah.
I'm not the biggest romance guy, but if it's not like it
Spicy?
doesn't sound like the normal. Yeah. I can't do. I'm getting old. I'm 44. I cringe when I see spicy stuff on TV, even when I'm watching it with my wife. I cringe.
So this is, it's not a spicy romance, but I say that it's for the ladies. I think that the series, The Facts of Life, is really for the ladies. However, I've had multiple men pick it up and say that they have really, really enjoyed it. I've had men that are pretty masculine military men that have picked it up and said, yeah, there's some romance, but there's enough suspense and action in here that it really kept me going. And not just that, there's a lot of profound thought that comes with it. And so they say, some of the people that have read it have said it goes deeper than the typical genre book in this genre does. And so that's sort of something that it gives a little bit of time for reflection,
Okay. Well, I'll definitely give it a go for sure. So that's, I'm
2 done.
Yeah.
I will. All right. Well, let's get in.
Handle that one.
Exactly. Let's get into these icebreakers. So the first question is, who is your favorite dynamic duo? For example, Timon and Pumbaa, Batman and Robin, Rick and Morty, Laurel and Hardy. Those kind of duos can be across any media. TV, books, comics, movies, games, whatever. Who was your favorite dynamic duo?
So this is a total no-brainer for me. I am a huge Star Wars fan, and so I have to say Anakin and Obi-Wan. I'm currently reading episode 3. I've been reading all the books, and if you haven't, I know that y'all need to buy my books. If you have already done that, then you should buy those books and read them. But they are phenomenal. And there's only 2 books that I can think of, this one and one of the Outlander books, where I got to a point where I didn't want to go forward because I knew what was coming, and I knew that it was going to destroy me. And so I've been sitting on Anakin murdering the younglings for like a month, and I cannot get myself to finish because I know how horrible it's going to be. But it's been such a phenomenal read. But those 2, yeah, that's it. Anakin and Obi-Wan for sure. Dynamic duo.
Hello there. That's cool. When Star Wars was good, shall we say?
I have lots of unpopular opinions on that.
Yeah. We'll save it because that'll be an entire podcast in itself.
Yeah.
So let's move on to what's on your bucket list.
I think most of my bucket list is going to have to do with traveling. I've been to just about everywhere in the continental U.S. I've been to almost every state. But internationally, I've only been to Mexico and Italy. And so there's just so much earth left for me to explore. I'd love to go to Australia. Love to see the rest of Europe and Asia and parts of Africa and South America. I just haven't had the time or the funds. It's a little expensive. And I have all these kids here I have to take care of. They need things all the time. And But now they're all getting a little older. My youngest is 14. And so whenever she is in college in a few years, then my husband and I, hopefully, God willing, will have some time to be able to keep doing that and exploring. But that's probably the main thing, is I'd like to travel quite a bit more.
That's great. That is a popular one among, our guests. It's probably one of the most popular answers, and I can see why, because, I've been all around Australia. Our country is absolutely beautiful, but I would love to do some international traveling as well. I think it's good to, go to different countries, learn about different cultures, their history, and everything like that. I think it's, a really, really good thing to do.
Yeah, definitely.
You just got to tough out the very long flight.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my wife is from Ireland, so for her to go and visit her family, it's a 24-hour flight from Australia to
like real time.
Yeah. So she goes from Sydney to either Singapore or Dubai, and then from there to Heathrow in London, and then from Heathrow to County Cork is just an hour. That's the shortest part. But yeah, it's a 24-hour journey.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. So yeah, I can do it. I've driven the furthest I've driven is, I think, 18 hours up to the Gold Coast when I was a lot younger, in Queensland. I could do longer. Like I did 11 hours inland to Inverell with one stop for a bathroom break. I love driving.
Yeah, we've driven all over the country because we have so many kids. We got 6 kids, and they, flights for 8 people are crazy expensive. And so we have driven all over America with them to New York and to the Grand Canyon and Mount Rushmore. I mean, golly. So yeah, we've done the long drives for sure. But when we flew internationally last year, we went to Italy, or this year we went to Italy in April for my 20th anniversary. And I think it was only like 13 hours on the slow way. And then on the fast way on the way back, it was like 8 to just back to America, not back to our airport. But golly, a 24-hour flight.
Yeah. She'd only done it twice. Her parents moved back over to Ireland, I think, in 2017 or 2018. And she did it twice before COVID hit. And then once COVID was all that 2 years after that, when the airports opened up, the prices were utterly insane. So, yeah, it's crazy. But speaking of something you just mentioned, the good old Mount Rushmore, question number 3, James, he's going to bring up a visual aid for this one. So, obviously, yes, you've mentioned Mount Rushmore. You've been to Mount Rushmore, obviously 4 of the most influential presidents at the time. Given that that's what this is, what would be on your Mount Rushmore of television shows? So in your opinion, the best 4 television shows can be from any genre, any time period, animated, real-time, reality, whatever you think are the best 4 shows that belong on Mount Rushmore.
So I'm gonna have to substitute some movies, if that's all right.
Ooh, are they series?
Books, yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't have a lot of TV shows that I watch, but
we did put it in the notes that if you don't watch much TV, you can interchange for books and movies, because not everyone's a TV buff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. So I would say Star Wars. I already said.
Yep.
Harry Potter. Outlander and Red Rising.
Wow, there you go.
Outlander's more, I've heard of it, but it's more romance.
It's not. It's so. Let me tell you. Let me tell you something. The book series it's all romance. Yeah. So the book series is much more action adventure than the TV show. I think the TV show, where the book series would say like, and then this happened, and then change, like go fade to black or change to the next chapter. The TV show's like, we should explore this for 40 minutes. And that's not really how the books are not nearly as explicit as the TV show. But phenomenal writing. Diana Gabaldon, just, I can't even imagine how cool it is for her to have written. I think it's 9 books, and she has some spinoffs, and she's got a 10th book that's coming out, supposed to be the final. But she's written this series since 1992 is when she started. And this is the only world she's written in. And that's just the coolest thing to me, that she was this mega successful with this one, this one idea in this one world. It's very neat to me, but it's phenomenal writing for sure. You should read that one too, but buy my books. And then if you have already bought those, you can buy hers. I'm going to learn to stop shilling everybody else's things.
My TBR is just going to keep growing and growing and growing.
and be able to build a house.
Exactly. But no, look, I think I definitely agree with Star Wars and Harry Potter. Me and my wife recently just did the rewatch of all the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, they're definitely really good.
Read all of those books multiple times. The Red Rising I've reread multiple times. I've listened to the audiobook. So it's all such good storytelling. I just love good storytelling. So I don't mind doing a reread or rewatch, if it's something phenomenal like that. I've read Outlander multiple times. Yeah. They're just fantastic.
And
great story.
I've only watched 30 minutes of Harry Potter.
Oh my gosh. Are you going to watch the TV show when it comes out?
Probably not. I might watch 5 minutes of it. Just as
I was not very excited about it. I kind of probably got into that deal where you're like, oh, it's just not going to be the people that I fell in love with, grew up with. But when I watched the trailer that they put out, I got very excited about it, because I think that they're going to do a little bit of a darker story, from the onset, and really kind of show some of what they glossed over, a lot of some of the things that happened. Like, these people literally kept this kid locked in a closet for however many years. And everybody's like, oh, it's so funny. Like, no, that's really not that funny if you think about it. And the TV show looks like they're going to address it a little bit more, naturally and less hokey, like the movies did, which I didn't think it was hokey at the time when it came out, but now that I consider as a parent, I'm like, that was really bad. That's pretty dark.
Oh, definitely. And there's a lot of, I read the books when they first came out, and I remember the first time, my cousins were younger, and they really like Harry Potter. So I took them to see, I think, the first 5 movies at the cinema before they got too old and grew up. And then I watched the other ones on the streaming site. But look, I enjoyed the books. I could definitely reread the books. I think it's a good, unique story. And it kind of closes itself off at the end. Not sort of leaving an open ending. It sort of ties everything up towards the end. So definitely a good set of books and good set of movies too.
Cool. All right, let's move on. Dr. Emmett Brown leaves his DeLorean parked in your driveway. Where/when are you going?
Oh, so I would say I would want to go back and see something that Jesus had done. I would not want to see him die. Something like the Sermon on the Mount, or like shearing the fish, something happy. But I'd like to go and walk where he walked and listen to him speak. I think I'd be able to hear it in English. And so, I think that's probably like the easiest answer, but it's the most obvious answer, but it is what it is. If I had the opportunity, I would absolutely do that.
Would be much safer to travel back then too. Like in that region.
Yeah, than now. Yeah.
So you wouldn't go back and save him from being crucified, or would that change history too much?
That would put a lot of people in a bad situation, Ryan.
I'm not religious at all. I know, what I know, and I was just wondering if that would, everyone talked about going back.
How much time do you have?
I'm just trying to think of a movie analogy.
I think the question is, and with all, I say this with all due respect, how much interest do I have, which is not much.
Okay, let me put it this way, Brian. Let's set it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep, yep.
Would you stop Iron Man from sacrificing himself to save the entire universe?
No.
That's kind of
Okay.
that's
Well,
yeah. But like
okay.
probably 10 times worse.
Even more because you're talking about not just their time on Earth, you're talking about eternity.
Yeah.
They spend forever.
Yeah.
Their actual souls.
No, there's actually a video. Someone did a short, and like I think it's back in the 90s or something, and it's a Terminator going back, and he comes in and he's got his shotgun and he shoots Judas, and he's like, Jesus is like, "What are you doing? He's going to betray you." Yeah, it's just like, it's just like, it's ridiculous, It's like it's supposed to happen. Yes.
It happened.
All right. Well, question number 5, the last one of the icebreakers. We're doing very well on these. Now this one is a question I always keep going to say we stole, but we inherited
Yes.
from another podcast called Mirthquake. And it's a simple question. It's hot air balloon or janky sub. Would you rather fly in a homemade hot air balloon way up in the sky or a homemade submarine way down in the ocean depth? Or to simplify it, me simplifying the question, how would you like to die?
So we definitely all saw the submarine thing play out in real time recently.
Yeah.
And so not that. I don't want to do that. I would definitely do the hot air balloon. I would want to, if I could I would love to have a homemade parachute with my homemade hot air balloon to give me an extra level of protection. Maybe fly it over some really fluffy trees.
Ryan's disappointed.
I recently had, within the last couple of years, I had the opportunity to go scuba diving under some very questionable circumstances and found out that I am claustrophobic underwater a little bit, especially at night. And I don't think that I'd want to do that at all.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason why I'm team janky sub because just because it's instantaneous, when it's just the implosion. So, you don't really get a chance to see it coming. It's just literally bang, you're gone. With the hot air balloon, if it's going down or you're falling out of the hot air balloon, there's that, depending on how high you are, there's that 30 seconds to a minute where you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And you've got the chance to, panic and whatever that may be. Me personally, I would just not like to know and just go like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to, I'm not the kind of person that I don't like to know that I'm going to die. Like, I don't want to get a disease that draws life out. Like, I recently saw it with my dad over the last 12 months. He had pancreatic cancer, and it was just horrible to watch him suffer. So I think I would like to go bang. I would like to just click my fingers and I'm gone. That's why I'm team janky sub.
I can respect that. I'm team hope, and I think I'm going to make it out of the janky hot air balloon.
Janky balloon. So that puts our score at 8 hot air balloon to 3 janky sub.
I think so. And I mean, the hot air balloon, again, it has played out before also, but people have survived that. I think that there was a lot of horrific, nightmarish after seeing the thing with what was that called? That submarine that went down that was homemade.
I forget what it was called, but it was a homemade one with a PlayStation controller.
Yeah, terrible idea. Terrible idea.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, it's not good because it was rushed. It was and those, the poor people on that. That's horrible. But that is the way that I would like to go because like you don't have a chance to think about anything. And you're gone.
Yeah. It was, all right. So that's the icebreakers done. Now let's get to know you by your work. So tell us, how do I put it? What is your author origin story? That's a good way to put it.
So, um, everybody probably always says I've been writing forever, but I've been writing forever. And I think the first time that I started doing things independently, and the first time that I had gotten published was in first grade. I had written quite a bit of poetry, and they published it in the local newspaper, and that kind of just sort of took off from there. It has evolved a lot, and it has changed a lot over the years. When I was 14, I wrote a poem that was published in a national anthology. When I was 16, I wrote my first book. When I was 25, I wrote another book. In my 20s and in my early 30s, I did a lot of like blogging. I wrote for some online magazines, some nonfiction things and political things. And then was always kind of writing novels in the background. In my early 30s, I wrote a 3-book Christian fantasy series called The Lodestone. And that was the first time that I had written something nonfiction that I really thought this might be a pretty okay story. And I gave it to, a family member to read and got some feedback. And when I was it was right before Corona actually happened that my dad got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And he had been diagnosed with it. I guess his health really started becoming affected by it about then. And he and I were really close. We used to play golf together all the time. And he just got to where he couldn't do anything physical anymore. All of his he couldn't play golf. He couldn't walk a whole lot. And so he wanted to write his memoirs. And we kind of started sitting down together a few days a week and just writing that stuff out. And he lived this crazy life. He was a Native American and on one side, an Appalachian hillbilly on the other side. And they lived like the boxcar children. He lived in the middle of nowhere with dirt floors and peach crate cabinets and no running water. And he had an outhouse and no electricity and like a one bed for 6 or 7 kids. And this wasn't like in the Great Depression. This was like in the 1960s. Wow. And so it was this really crazy juxtaposition between like the modern world and like the old Wild West. That's where he lived, was like out in the Wild West. That really kind of inspired the vibe of Bette Donovan. And so during that time, we sat down together. We watched a lot of his old favorite movies. He was a huge John Wayne lover, and we watched a ton of old Westerns. And I was not that big of a John Wayne lover, so we watched a bunch of new Westerns. And kind of somewhere along the way, this story just kind of started to develop, and we kind of had this I just kind of had this idea where I wanted to kind of marry several things that I thought that were really neat concepts. I loved the imagery of like the Japanese samurai, and I loved the imagery of the Wild West. And it's kind of like a steampunk version of the Wild West, with a lady samurai cowgirl lead. And so the thing that idea just kind of took on its own kind of thing, and just kind of grew from there. And when I got finished writing that, I had no idea what I was doing. I had never done anything in fiction before. I had no idea how to publish anything. I had no idea. I didn't know what a beta reader was or what an ARC reader was. And I'm like Googling, how do you publish a book? And I gave this story to one of my friends, and he read it, and his grandmother had been a professional editor in the 90s for the Dallas Writers Club. And so he sent it to her. She emailed me and said, hey, if you're interested, I would love to just edit this for you. I think this is a great story. I think this needs to be published. And she said, I'll edit this for you. And so we took off on this 6-month-long journey of hanging out together and editing this story. She did a full developmental edit and a line edit. When we got done, I was like, what now? That's great, but what now? And so she kind of helped me put together a query package. I had sent out 5 or 8 queries, nothing, none essentially. And while I was we were going to wait till those came back, and then we were going to tweak it and send some more out. But while we were kind of doing that, and I'm researching and learning about this whole world of publishing, I realized how long all of that took. And my dad's health in the meantime, and also my grandmother's health was really failing. And I knew that if they wanted to see this book be published, that I was not going to be able to traditionally publish it. And so my editor, Lou Mercier, she said, you should just indie publish this. She was like, this would be a great learning experience for you. And so she had helped some people do that before, and she totally helped me and walked me through the process of publishing it. And I did that so that my dad and my grandmother could see that lifelong dream kind of come to fruition. Mm. And then I was like, well, what now? And because I still didn't know anything. I published it. I didn't tell a soul that I wrote a book. Nobody knew about it. Mm-hmm. I published that in June of 2024 and did not tell anybody about it until August of 2025. and just because I just didn't know what to do. In the meantime, I was still writing. I was writing the Facts of Life series. I had written a couple of other things. I wrote a fantasy series at the same time. And so I had a lot of projects that I was working on, but I just didn't really know what to do as far as how to bring them to market. In August, I was sort of lamenting to one of my children about this whole thing. I was like, if you don't know what the question is to ask, then how do you know what to ask? Kind of a thing. And so my 15-year-old at the time, he said, Mom, you need a writing community. And I was like, what is that? And he said, give me your phone. And so he downloaded Discord on my phone, put me on all these writer Discord groups. He kind of played with my Twitter and switched the algorithm over to writing Twitter. And I started meeting some people, and I started getting involved in a couple of different writer groups, and I had resources all of a sudden and people to be able to ask questions. How do you bookmark it? How do you do this or that? And that's really kind of that was really where my big indie journey, I guess, began was truly in August of last year. The indie community's just been phenomenal. Everybody's been so wonderful and welcoming and nice. I've made so many incredible friends, and they don't ever hesitate to tell me, like, this is what you should be doing, or don't do that. Or if I ask a question, they answer it. If I need something to be, a set of eyes on something, they do it. It's just been such a wonderful thing to be able to have a group of people that you feel like you're just kind of holding hands with them, and you're all walking together on this journey. That's been the biggest game changer for me, really, has been just the indie community and being able to plug into that. And that really started, in August of last year. And so here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must say, I'm not a writer. I'm obviously the reader. I read for 4 to 5 hours every night. And ever since we started doing this podcast, I jumped on X. I'd never been on X before. And that is literally the only people I follow are indie authors on X. That's where the community even towards me has been phenomenal and amazing. And whenever I read an author's book, I reach out to them and we end up having like a half an hour conversation about it. It's such a positive thing, and for something so positive to exist where 90% of everything on social media can be negative, and the fact that the indie author community is just so helpful and so approachable, and so there, especially for you guys as authors, it just makes me believe in people again. So I can definitely agree with what you were saying about that every time I've had a question in relation to a book or anything, because of time zones, let's say within a few hours, the author will reply back and we'll have that conversation. So 100%, it has really, the online indie book community has really opened my eyes to how a real community should be able to be there and support each other.
Yeah, they're great people. And I have a one specific writer group on Discord that is a critique group, and we exchange work every single week. We exchange up to 5,000 words of work, and edit each other's and give each other impressions and feedbacks, and that kind of thing is just, it has just really changed the game, being able to have that kind of feedback in my back pocket constantly, and like motivational partners, people that say, hey, have you written anything today? Have you done any book marketing today, or whatever the case may be? So
that's Ryan. He's like, have you written any more? Have you written any more?
I read all of Jamie's stuff before, well before it's published.
As it's being written.
As it's been written, yeah, he sends me, 10 chapters of something and I'll read it. And I'm always hassling him because I love the stuff he writes. And I'm like, please, can I have some more, sir?
Yeah.
I just want some more. And, and you know what? Since joining this community, I've become an ARC reader for a few of the authors that I really like that, we've had on the show and everything. And it's just, I have only fallen back in love with reading in the last few years. And I never used to read as much as I've read now. And I read every night. And you know what? This year's been a bit shocking for me. And reading has gotten me through and made me get out of bed every day. And if something can do that for someone, especially, you guys do that for me, then I think it's worth millions. You should be all millionaires by now.
I wish.
Millions.
Look, honestly, you know what? I have said this before on the podcast. I only ever read traditionally published authors before we started this podcast. And now I haven't read a traditionally published book for years. All I read is indie. And I have not given an indie book that I've read under 5 stars since I started reading them because they're all absolutely amazing. So you guys...
Yeah, I told somebody the other day, I said, it's like supporting a small business, when you support an indie author. So I think that's very
100%,
cool.
100%. And you know what? I happily will buy, if I find an author I like and they've got 10 books out, I'll buy all 10. I'm that kind of person. I will support. Like every single arc I've read, I've bought the actual book. Do you know what I mean? I'm not just in it to get free books. I literally say, if I like it, I will 100% buy it. And I've read like 10 or 12 arc books over the last 2 years, and I've bought every single one of them. So
I'm real similar. I usually I'll do, especially if I don't know, if I don't know the author and I haven't ever read anything that they've written, I'll usually buy the download on Kindle. But if I like it, then I always buy the book. And if I really like it, I'll buy the book and then I'll go to their website and buy a signed copy of the book. And I'm probably buy the hardcover for my friend.
Oh, definitely. I'm starting that as well. I've got my eye on this rotating bookshelf. So it's got, 4 different sides where it's quite tall and I can put it right next to where I do my recording. And I will always, if the author has a website, I will literally always go there and buy a signed copy because, that if I love it, I'd much rather give you guys all the money than pay Amazon and you only get a little bit of the money. But I 100% will buy the digital book without fail. I mean, I can buy a digital book less than you could buy a coffee.
9 to 12 hours of entertainment.
Yeah, and I reread. I reread the books that I really like. So it's not just that. It's I could get years and years worth of something amazing. Or I could have a drink which will last me an hour and that's it. So yeah, 100%. It's just Anyway, we're not here to talk about me praising all of you lovely people.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Continue. It's fine. Tell me how I am. I'll be all right with it.
I'm going to make a commitment to you, Secret Stacy. I have last night I finished the book that I was reading. I finished it. I reviewed it. My next book I will be starting will be your book. I promise you that. I will start it tonight, and which means hopefully, I don't know how big it is, but normally if it's like within 200 to 250 pages, I could probably finish it in a week.
That big?
I can't remember how many Kindle pages it is. It's 87,000 words.
Awesome. Well, maybe I would say a week to maybe a week and a half, just depending on how I'm going. But yeah, I generally try and read at least at least 100 to 120 pages a night. That's my goal. If I really, really like it, I'll probably just read more until I start falling asleep. But some of the novellas, that are like 150 pages, especially from Janelle Schiecke, who's my favorite horror author, I read in 1 to 2 nights easily. Done. So yeah, I will make that commitment. I will read my first Western, because what you've just, the way you described it just makes me want to read it. And I'm like, okay, I finished my latest book last night, so I will jump on to your book tonight.
And
I'm
Ryan,
looking forward to it.
Got happy reading. I hope you enjoy it.
It comes with pictures.
Awesome.
Oh, you have to have the hard copy to get the picture.
Oh, boo.
Well,
No,
he'll buy a hard copy when he loves it. No, that's on my next read too. I've been meaning to get to it, but I'm a slow reader. I'm halfway through the book I'm reading now, but I'll get there. But why don't we talk? Let's I don't know, make Ryan more excited. Wait, talking even more about. I'll bring up the cover because that's what we like to do here.
Yes, and I just got that. So that's the cover of that's technically the Kindle cover, or that's technically the old Kindle cover. I've just recently commissioned a new cover for the 2-year anniversary. There's a cover for the Kindle, and there's a jacketed hardcover now, and the mass market paperback is still the orange, like what you have.
Yep.
Because I just think that's a really good nostalgic throwback look. It really kind of gives me that vibe of like the early 90s, late 80s kind of aesthetic of the mass market paperback action adventure stories. And so the mass market paperback still looks like that, but the Kindle and the hardcover are updated now, and they have a little bit different cover.
Okay, cool. Well, that's probably what I will see on my Kindle, is the updated cover. I'm guessing. I'm guessing that's how it works. Like, even if I've got the book, if you update it, then it will update on mine too. So I'm literally checking as we speak.
It's all right. So
because I want to keep talking. I'm listening.
Well, you go. So what was the process behind the cover? Did you do it yourself? Did you outsource it? How did it come to be?
The original cover I did myself, and I love the cover. I do. The biggest issue that I was having was that I have the program that I was using when I was downloading it and then re-uploading it to Amazon or to Ingram Spark. It was slightly blurry, and I could not, and I don't know, I could never figure out why. It just would not ever save properly or upload properly. And it did not really affect the integrity of the mass market paperback. But when I tried to do a larger hardcover, or if somebody tried to screenshot like the Kindle cover and share it, then it was very blurry. And so that was kind of my reasoning for wanting to go with something different. Like I said, I really love the cover. I think that it is, I think it gives a great vibe, but that was kind of why I thought, oh, maybe I should try to do something a little bit different. Now, that said, I am also in love with the new cover. I just absolutely adore it. I think it's beautiful. So I did it with, go ahead.
I just had a look at it then. It's phenomenal. I like it. I still remember. Obviously I know the old cover, but the new cover I was just looking at now, and it's fantastic. It looks really good.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that you like it. You're the first feedback I've had on it.
Oh, no, it is 100%. Like, it makes me want to read it more. Just looking at the cover, having Bette Donovan at the front with, the Western aesthetic in the back with the rocky outcropping and everything. It looks amazing.
Let's see if I can find it.
It's on Amazon for the Kindle version. And then, of course, it's on my website, or it's on, and I guess Barnes and Noble and Walmart.
Yeah, it definitely is. As I said, I do love the orange cover because you're right. It gives it that, that 90s kind of, rustic feel. But I'm not going to lie that the new cover just I love the new cover more.
There it
Not
is.
saying not
There
saying
it
the
is.
first cover was bad, but it looks amazing. It's really, really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
So,
I was very excited about it. It's
uh,
really cool, when you have when you have a vision and then it's able to be brought to life so well. It's like it kind of makes you emotional. But it was I love it. I think it turned out really great.
so is that going to be on the hardcover?
That's
Like,
on the hardcover, yes,
yeah.
and the Kindle, and then the mass market paperback will stay the orange.
Then
First.
you will make another sale. I'm just saying because I love it. I even love the tagline: "Revenge is best served with a katana and a shot of whiskey." Yeah.
Yep. That's
So
bet.
how did this? I know you mentioned obviously gave us a bit of an idea on what the story is, but how did this whole uh, Western steampunky story how did that come to be? Like what made you want to write this kind of story as your first independently published book?
So I'm a huge history fan. I'm just really nerdy into history. I love U.S. history. I love U.S. politics. I had mentioned earlier that I was doing some writing, like in my 20s and early 30s. I was doing some political writing, some nonfiction things for some online magazines, and so I was just very well read in U.S. history, and so it kind of made sense that that was a genre that kind of pulled me toward that. But I just wanted to do something a little bit more modern. I wanted to do something that sort of pushed at a couple of genre conventions. It's a little bit fantastical in places, but it also kind of like a Forrest Gump. Somebody compared it to that a couple of weeks ago, and that made a lot of sense to me because the idea and the shtick is that Bette Donovan is like she's the American folktale, and so I wanted to write this story where you had this integral character in history that was responsible for all kinds of things that we know and we see today, but didn't necessarily get credit for it, right?
Mm.
So you know how like Forrest Gump would just be like in the background, there'd be this monumental thing happening, and he was just kind of hanging out in the background.
Yeah.
And that was sort of Bette Donovan. She inspires Abraham Lincoln to become president. She inspires Buffalo Bill and Crazy Horse, and she gives them both their names that they're known by today. She inspired Pablo Noriega to become the first Hispanic U.S. Marshal. She invented flapper dresses, and she's done all of these things and has influenced modern media and has influenced modern music and modern politics, the things that we know today. But they all things came kind of from Bette Donovan, and so that was sort of the idea that I started with. That was my jumping off point. I kind of took a lot of things that I thought would be big, significant, historic events and people from that time, kind of laid them out and said, how can I connect these dots and make her responsible for all of these things? And it just became this really fun game, like kind of how to walk through those things. Okay, so everybody acts like manifest destiny is this great thing, but what if it was nefarious? Like who would have benefited if it was not a great thing? And so that's kind of the steps I took, walk backwards through these things and say, if because a lot of times, and let's be real, a lot of times something will come out that the government has given us, and then 10 or 15 years later we realize that, oh, maybe that wasn't so great, but they presented it to us as this great thing. They had these ulterior motives, and so that's kind of the idea, is that what if some of these things that we know that we thought were so great were really a little bit more nefarious than we realized. And so I connected these dots sort of with conspiracy theory, and then dropped Bette Donovan into the middle of it, and she just explodes, blows it all up.
Now, did
Awesome.
she write House of the Rising Sun? Because no one knows who wrote that song. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So she did, and so I actually went through and it was like looking up all these anonymous quotes that nobody like things that people have heard of that nobody's ever said, and I tripped those all throughout. Yeah, it was so much fun. The research for this book was so much fun.
Yeah,
but there's tons of little things for you know. I like to write a complicated story, and I don't like for it to feel like it's complicated. And so you can read this book and you can have such a fun time on the surface level, and you get this great action adventure, coming of age, found family story, and it is so fun. But if you are some kind of a book nerd and you want to go back through and you want to really dig deeper, then you're going to find quite a bit more story, than you found the first time through. And I think that's a lot of fun.
Definitely. No, I'm actually excited to read it. No, just because you mentioned how she is essentially responsible for all these historic events that occurred in America over time. I'm a massive history buff as well. Not just Australian history, world history. So that kind of thing, I'm like, okay. And obviously, what sold me the book was Guy Ritchie's Sherlock. I'm a massive, massive Guy Ritchie fan. I've pretty much seen everything he's done. And, to have that steampunk vibe as well. Yeah, look, I think I'm going to enjoy it. I'm looking forward to starting reading it tonight.
So I read it every single year, at least once a year. And every year I have a great time reading it.
Well, that's good. Well, that gives me, more faith as well, because, for the fact that I know it's your work, but you're taking the time to read it and still enjoying it after the last few years. Every time you read it, that just makes it that much better to me.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Right here, live on the podcast. Ryan is excited to read a Western.
I am. I really am. I'm trying to be more
Branch out.
open-minded. Yep. I don't want to be one of those people who says, no, I'm never doing this. I think 44 years is long enough to have hated something that I don't really understand. So I'm trying to make that jump. So hopefully, in the next week or two, I'll be able to give you live on the podcast my impressions of my very first Western.
Oh, I cannot wait.
So is this a standalone or is there more coming from this character?
So currently it's a standalone. I do have an outline for a second book in the series. If I do write it, but I'm going to write it. It's going to be a duology. I have actually quite an extensive outline going, so I'm definitely writing it. It's called Bette Donovan and the Legend of Blackbeard Teach, and it's going to be Bette Donovan on the high seas. And so it's going to be a pirate adventure instead of a Western adventure. And so, yeah, I'm actually really excited about it. I've got, I'm halfway through, like a rewrite of book 4 of the Facts of Life series. And when that is over with, I will probably go back to Bette Donovan and go back to that world for a little while.
Well, you're creating your own Assassin's Creed kind of stuff here.
Pirates are definitely. I recently, there's an Australian game studio. We had the founder on, called TKFY, the kids from yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And they do. I purchased their magazine, which has the first of. I've got it.
Mike
here.
Roberts.
And it's got the first of. I read the other. My memory is absolutely horrible, but
Bit of Wind.
Bit of Wind. The short story in there, and that's pirate based.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing. I can't get enough pirate stuff. So when you do write that is already a guaranteed sale for me. Because I love pirate stuff. I can't get enough of it at the moment.
Well, Secret Stacy was on an episode with Mike Roberts. They did
awesome.
story pitch episode. I think you went there for it.
You're absent. Okay.
Yeah, you missed a killer episode, Ryan, because Scott Shepherd intentionally chose me on a date with a Valley Girl. Because he knew what it was, he knew where it was, and
dueling thrombones. I remember.
Yeah, and I now moved it on the graph, so no one knows where it is.
No one except me, and I can just send people messages and say,
Oh, bribes.
yeah,
Bribes.
definitely.
Bribes.
But yeah, that pirate, that Bette Donovan on the high seas sounds really good. I look forward to that too.
It's going to be a great time. I just gotta write it.
Excellent. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit more about your other series, like Life in the Quiet? Is there only one cover for this, or have I gotten the wrong one again?
So no, there's just the one right now for that. But the second book is coming out for pre-order on August 20th, and so we'll have a cover reveal soon for that one. But yeah, this is such a fun story. Contemporary romance. It follows Sunny Carino. She here, I'll just read the back blog to you real fast. Allison Sunny Carino loves her family and she loves Jesus, but she also enjoys a well-placed F-bomb and a shot of tequila at 10 in the morning if the situation calls for it. With her 3 grown kids getting ready to move out, the 40-year-old widow finally has time to try something new, putting herself first. Sunny is determined to stop feeling guilty about her husband's death and start living again. She cuts off her toxic friends and nails a life-changing work contract. When she's cornered by her ex and a handsome stranger comes to her rescue, Sunny thinks her luck might just be changing. Except a neighborhood prank war threatens to steal Sunny's happily ever after. The tricks escalate from toilet papering to armed robbery, making Sunny desperate to figure out who's targeting her family. Only finding the culprit isn't as easy as it seems. Between her best friend, who's been moonlighting as a drug dealer, her dead husband's mistress, and her jaded ex, Sunny's enemies are piling up around her. She's finally found her soulmate and has a renewed sense of purpose. But if she can't uncover who's behind the harassment, she risks losing everything before she's had the chance to truly live. So I love this story. It is a make you laugh, make you cry, multi-generational family drama, and it sets up the rest of this series so beautifully. Kind of my idea was that I wanted to write and now it's not a Christian romance or a Christian story, but all of the characters, it's kind of a large cast of characters, and the characters are Christians. And so I think that in and of itself kind of makes it a little bit different than a lot of what you read in contemporary fiction. I think that you generally get Christians in 2 camps. You know, they're either very crunchy granola, over the top, or they are like sort of like a judgmental sect, you know, like a spoof of a Christian or a caricature. Well, either way, I guess it's a caricature, but it's not 99% of the people that live and breathe that call themselves Christians. That's the point. And so I really just wanted to write a book where the characters were Christians, but that wasn't necessarily the point of the story, right? Yeah. But when your characters are Christians, it still does sort of influence their decision making and their morality and their worldview. And so that was kind of where I started with this whole thing. I wanted to do a couple of things that I thought were not just done often in romantic literature. I wanted some later in life protagonists. You know, I'm 41 years old. I don't like reading about 20-year-old girls falling in love with 25-year-old guys. It's just not my jam. Yeah. And I love those stories. They're great for the younger crowd, but that's not what I want to read about now as a 41-year-old. And so I just wanted to write something that was a little bit more relatable to somebody that was in my same life kind of position, you know? So I wanted to write real adults. I very much just like stories where you build up this whole thing, and then in the 3rd act there's this major miscommunication that could have been solved with a conversation, and that is the whole point of the story. And that drives me crazy. And I thought we need some adults that communicate. We need to make falling in love and staying in love cool again. We need to make waiting until you get married to have sex cool again. And so those were some of the things that I kind of wanted to tackle in this book. I wanted the love story to come fast. I fell in love with my husband at first sight. My mother and father fell in love at first sight. They were married within 3 months and were together till the day my dad died. I Was married after a year, but was, like I said, fell in love at first sight with my husband. Been married for over 20 years. And I think that's wonderful and shouldn't be, that should be the norm. And so I thought that would be a really fun thing to do is to kind of restructure the love story, and let's just let them fall in love fast and stay in love and let them tackle life's woes together. They both are older protagonists. They both have a lot of baggage, and they kind of come together and deal with these things together. But as they're kind of dealing with their own personal issues, there's this creeping thing in the background with this neighborhood prank war. Sunny's got 3 kids that are she's got 18-year-old triplets. They're about to go to college, but they have gotten involved in this neighborhood toilet papering. And all of a sudden we are slashing tires and armed robbery, and this thing goes crazy off the rails. And so it's a lot of fun to see these guys kind of have this relationship that grows and develops rather quickly. And then they tackle all of these issues together. And then the kind of at the end of this book, and I'm not going to spoil it, but the thing that happens at the end of this book sets up sort of the story arcs for all the rest of the books in the series. So you have, kind of your inciting event for your one book, but the inciting event for this series definitely occurs at the end of this book, if that kind of makes sense. And so it's a really fun story. Like I said, it'll make you laugh, it'll make you cry, and hopefully it'll make you rethink a couple of things in your own interpersonal relationships, but you're going to have a really good time. I've had a lot of people say, I was reading it and I just kept realizing that I was smiling until they started crying.
No,
That's how you want it.
no, it definitely sounds. I'm definitely going to give that a go, because it sounds like we had another author on who's been on the show quite a few times. Her name's Honey Parker, and she writes very similar to what you're describing. I read she has a series of vampire books, but it's not like vampire romance. It's like literally a woman who's been turned into a vampire and she's trying to deal with life and love and all these kind of things. So it's essentially what you're describing, but with the vampire. So I really love the way you're describing. I think I would really enjoy that series too. So I'll definitely.
Like I said, I've had several. I wrote this thinking that it would be, that it would just be a women kind of centric novel, but I've had a lot of men pick this up and really enjoy it, and that surprised me. But I'm very, I'm really happy to have them as readers for sure. But I think it's cool that it kind of has crossed some of the target demographic. One thing that I wanted to do too with this whole series, the second book that's coming out, as Life Out Loud, follows Sunny's sister. Her name's Digger, and her story is an action adventure. Back to my roots with Bette Donovan. It's an action adventure, dark comedy. I did not want to get into the rut of feeling like I was writing the same book 4 or 5 times in a row. I think a lot of times when you get, especially with romance series and contemporary fiction, you get 4 or 5 books. When you have like a dual point of view romance series, you get by the 3rd book, you just feel like you're like, I'm reading the same thing, but these people have different names, and I just didn't want to get stuck into that rut. And so each book in the series has a totally different subgenre, way different feel. Digger's book is kind of an action adventure mafia romance. It's you've got Male meets Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it's very high octane action. It takes place. Life in the Quiet is small town romance. It takes place in just outside of Dallas, Texas, and Life Out Loud takes place in New York. And it is a complete. It's really fun because you still have all these same personalities that you fell in love with in book 1, but they do. The genre really does do a little bit of a 180. And then in book 3, which is coming out next year in May, it's called Life as I Knew It. And that is a romantic comedy mashup with literary fiction. And then the next book in the series is called Life is What You Make It. It'll be next November 2027. And that is a psychological thriller romance. And then if you hang in there the whole time, then you get the following May 2028, you'll get Life Well Spent, which is a cozy romance. So if you hang in there through the whole thing, then you get your Nothing Bad Happens book at the very end.
Awesome. Oh, that sounds like a great series. You mentioned you're currently writing book four, or you're doing a rewrite
So
on book
I've
four at the
already,
moment.
yeah, I've written. I always say, there's no George R. R. Martining happening here. This series is written. It will all come out. Yeah, it's all in various stages of draft. Book three is completely done on my end. I'll send it off to the editor in November. Book four, I'm rewriting because I wrote this whole thing out of order. I wrote what is book one, first, and then what is book four second. And then I wrote book five, and then I went back and wrote book two. And then when I wrote book three sort of changed a lot of the details that happened in book four and book five. And so that made me have to go back and rewrite. But it's so fun. I know that a lot of people, one of the times I was on, you had somebody on that was that does a serial, and they put out like I guess an episode every month or every week or something like that. And I think that's amazing. And I could never do that ever, because I like so much to be able to go back and interweave my stories together. And so everything that I write is very like as a whole set from the ground up, And so I'll write something, and then I go back through and interweave whatever details through the whole story, and then I'll go back and interweave the next detail through the whole story. But you can't really do that, if I couldn't do that if I put out book one, and then wrote book two, And so I kind of like to have the whole thing, at least have a pretty good grasp on it before I start releasing things,
100%, I agree.
No, that makes sense.
Even when I write my first drafts, as I go, by the end of the first draft, I've already thought of things that, what if I did this, and then I got to go back and it's just
yes. And I do a lot of planning on the character level, like with the characters' personalities. I do a very extensive character outline for everybody that's in the book. And so I kind of go real deep into action and reaction. Would this person react? How would this person react if this is their background and this is their personality, And I think that just makes for a really fun and rich story. I love all of it, but it's a pretty intensive, way to go about it.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, we have moved along quite quickly. So before we play the game that you played before, we like to
so good at this game.
we like to I guess ask our guests a little bit about, like what's something you've learned along the way? What's a bit of advice that you found by, I guess, interacting with the indie community that has stuck with you, or something you want to share?
So I think that, and I always say, like, I hate to give advice. I'm just like I'm like a newborn baby here, like I'm like a 1-year-old in this world. But if I had me to go back and, to give advice to 5 years ago, then I would have said, you need an indie community, you need a writer community to be part of. And that's really been the biggest thing, is that if you can plug in and I always say too, plug into multiple places, but make sure that you're plugging up and that you're plugging down. Like plug into somebody that can pour into you, and then plug into somebody that you can pour into, somebody that has more experience, that is where you want to be. And then somebody that you can kind of, maybe not mentor, but give some advice to, that is where you were a few years ago. But I think that the biggest game changer that I've had in this whole writing journey that I've been on has been the indie community, and plugging into a writer community, and making writer friends that I could bounce ideas off of and get advice from, and that kind of thing. So
awesome.
Totally agree. Are you ready to play a game?
Let's do it.
I love this game. All right. Well, the game.
Are y'all playing? Am I doing this by myself?
You're doing it by yourself. It's solo.
Okay.
So for those who may not know, who've just jumped onto this episode randomly as their first, the game is called Story Pitch. We have a setting, a genre, a main character, and a crazy addition. Secret Stacy is going to pick a number between 1 and 12 for each of these categories, and then she's going to pitch us a story pretty much. Now,
And we do have 4 graphs.
yes. So
you need to pick the first. I think the first one's easy all the way up to 4, which is the hardest. So before you pick your 4 numbers, you need to tell us which graph you'd like to go through: 1, 2, 3, or 4.
yeah, and there's 2 rounds, so yeah.
Give me the easy one to start out with, please.
All right.
Since I
Okay.
Give me a 1.
Give you a 1. All right, now just bang away 4 numbers, just one after the other.
2, 4, 6, 8.
2, 4, 6, 8. Dig in, don't wait.
That's my
All right. Well, you're setting.
later kids.
Oh, we get this one. I'm gonna have to move this one because we get this all the time. But your setting is a submarine.
Doesn't have to be a janky one. It can be a fully working, top of the line technological one.
You don't want to know the last submarine that I ended up with on this game.
Yeah. Bob. Yeah.
Your genre is thriller.
Your main character is a historian. Ooh.
And your crazy addition, which is someone or something that must appear in the story, even if it's just for 5 seconds, that is a talking gecko.
That's another one I've got to move. I get that a lot. So you've got a historian on a sub with a talking gecko, and it's got to be a thriller.
Okay, so then I think that you have to do, the historian is going out on the submarine to try to figure out what has been going on with these sharks that are like sentient creatures. They're hunting people and eating them whole. And so the historian goes out with his pet gecko and whatever submarine crew, and they manage to spear one of these sharks and get a sample, like a tissue sample of it. But while the historian is sleeping, his pet gecko eats the tissue sample and becomes a sentient creature himself. And the pet gecko starts murdering everyone in the submarine. And
Nice. I like it. I would definitely fund that book, movie, TV show, whatever you want. That's totally fine. Yeah, 100%.
Like Sharknado, but underwater.
I like it. Sorry, I'm just shifting things around because we get those all the time.
So what graph? Now you can't go from graph 1 anymore.
Yep.
That's too easy. What graph would you like to go for your final story pitch for this episode?
Okay. I'll do 3.
Okay. All right. So not too easy, not too hard.
Yeah. Middle of the road.
Yeah.
All right. And what are your numbers?
1, 3, 5, 7.
1, 3, 5, 7. All right. So your setting is a ballroom competition.
Okay. And your genre is a grimdark sci-fi.
Well, we've had this combo before. Your main character is a voice actor.
Oh,
hang on.
Are you looking at graph 3?
Mortician. Your main character's a mortician.
Yeah. And your crazy addition, which is someone or something that must appear in the story, even if it's just 5 seconds. And that is an infestation of cute but mischievous gopher-like creatures.
What kind of creatures?
Gopher-like.
Creatures.
Okay.
And for the record, we have had this exact story pitch before.
Okay. So the mortician has been playing Frankenstein, and he can't find any dead bodies without coming under the scrutiny of the FBI. So he starts putting the brain waves and the sentience into these gophers instead. The issue is that they maintain like a infantile type of personality, right? They can't get any smarter than like a 3 or 4 year old, but they are obsessed with Dancing with the Stars. And so he decides that the only way that he can occupy their time is to put on a ballroom dancing competition. Okay. The whole thing gets really crazy because the Gophers, when they realize that some of their competition are better than them, then they start eating one another to take each other out.
Nice.
Every recurring. If I don't like, I guess if I don't like somebody, they're just the antagonist is just going to eat them. Problem solved.
Excellent. And there's nothing wrong with animals eating humans and murdering people. That's totally fine.
Yes, I've recently been watching. I always try with my kids when they get to be about 16. We kind of pick out like a movie or a TV show to binge watch for the last year or two that they're at home. And so my 16-year-old has us on Attack on Titan right now. And so got all the people eating people, it's in my subconscious right now.
I like it. Good choice. I love Attack on Titan's one of my favorite animes, so it's very good choice.
It's really good. I've not ever seen an anime before, and I'm really impressed with the storytelling. The only issue that I have is that once they all, which I think we're in season 3 or 4, but I think we're in season 4. The only issue I have is that once they all became like soldiers, they were all wearing the same outfit, and I couldn't tell anybody apart anymore. And so everybody that had brown hair, I was like, is that Aaron? Everybody that was a girl with brown hair, I was like, is that the potato girl? Like it never stops. I would need them to have name tags.
Yeah, no, I get it. It is pretty repetitive when they start, suiting up and get organized for.
They all look the same to me now. But it's a good show. We've enjoyed it a lot.
Well, it's good. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Awesome. I just updated our graphs a little bit to not get the same ones over and over and over. So the last one they had, that last story pitch, was J.L. Engel, and his was much, much, much more gruesome than yours. I will say.
Yeah.
The Gopher one?
Yeah, because he's a horror writer.
Oh yeah.
So he just lent right in. But thank you for joining us, Secret Stacy. It's been a blast.
Hey, I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, what we're going to do is give you the floor to plug what you want to plug. Tell our listeners and viewers where they can stay up to date with what you're doing. The floor is yours.
I would love for you guys to check out my website, www.srstacy.com. Again, I am Secret Stacy, and I write novels under the pen name SR Stacy. Currently, I have a gritty modernized Western, Bette Donovan and the Battle for Wyoming, available to purchase, and a contemporary romantic suspense novel called Life in the Quiet. On August 20th, you will also be able to pre-order my dark romantic action adventure, Life Out Loud. And you do not have to read the first one in order to read the second one. They are interconnected standalones. And so you can just pick up book 2 if romantic suspense is not your thing and you would like to try the dark comedy, action, adventure, romance, then go ahead and jump into book 2, Life Out Loud. The rest of that series, The Facts of Life, will come out every 6 months. So keep looking out for that in the future. I'm hoping to have another Bette Donovan story out in the next 2 years. And I have a Christian sci-fi trilogy I've been working on called The Lodestone. And I'm hoping that will come out about within that time too. You guys can follow me on Twitter. I am at Secret Koran. On Instagram, I'm at Secret Koran Stacy. And on TikTok, I am at SR Stacy.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, guys, I'll leave all those links down in the show notes, so please be sure to check that out. Check out the book that will be Ryan's first Western that he loves. Definitely check it out. But guys, remember to check out our sponsor, Rebecca Castles. Our honorary sponsors, Janelle Schiecke and Alexander Robb. All their links are down below. Buy some merch if you want to support the show. Ryan has a few shirts that he likes to pitch away because it's like living the dream, and Ryan will buy your book. It's facts. Just wear the truth on your chest like that. And if you want to reach out, thetrueandthefictional@gmail.com. And until next time, keep supporting those indie authors, and we'll catch you on the next episode.